Welcome back to the Mab Cheddar Podcast, episode number 4. I'm your host, Jim Maciejewski, Athletic Director at Malden High School. Joining me today is head girls soccer coach Allison Stelling and junior defender midfielder Karleigh Cress. Ladies, I appreciate you taking some time today to sit down and talk to us.
Of course, we're excited to be here. Excited just for our season in general.
Awesome. Well, let's get going. Coach Stelling, would you take us through, I guess, the Cliff Notes version of, I guess, your background in soccer and coaching, where you grew up, where you went to school, sports you played growing up?
Yep. So grew up in Greenwood, about an hour up the road, pretty small town. So that kind of limited, I guess, some of what I was able to do, but I tried to do just about everything. Played basketball. I used to be a sponsored skateboarder, which is a fun fact. And played soccer, of course. I did pretty much anything that you could think of. Grew up on the lake, doing a lot of water sports and stuff. So sports has always been such a big part of my life. Played at Emerald High School, all 4 years on varsity. Knew I wanted to play in college. Broke my collarbone my senior year. Wasn't sure I was going to get to play college soccer after that. Then I tore my ACL 8 weeks later going into college. Ended up at Presbyterian College, which was the best experience of my life. It was better than I could have imagined. Got to play about 3.5 years there, primarily a center forward. And then I actually ended my college career in goal, which my players still don't believe that. But occasionally I'll hop in goal at practice, and then I get to kind of show them what that looks like. But yeah, and then I kind of got into coaching just because, teaching came first. Like I knew that that's what I wanted to do about my sophomore year in high school. And obviously the more serious I got about soccer, the more that kind of formed into that. And I think just having a lot of good role models for me as a coach, I knew that that was like another outlet that I could kind of feed off of to build up other girls in similar positions and hopefully help them find a love for soccer or continue their love for soccer.
Outstanding. Now, I've known you obviously for a long time, but this sponsored skateboarding,
Yes.
part of your growing up, we're going to come back to that. I have some questions.
Okay. Yeah.
But Karleigh, to you, what sports, obviously you're a huge part of our soccer program. What about you? What some sports you played growing up? And ultimately what drew you to choose soccer?
So when I was little, I'd always played soccer. I started off soccer. My mom played soccer all throughout high school and everything, so it was just kind of a natural thing to get into. I did gymnastics for a little bit, and then I got to the age where it was like, you do one. It was too much to do both, and I chose soccer. And then I kept going. All three of my brothers play soccer, so it was just kind of like with my mom, like it was just a whole. And it just, as you get older, it gets more competitive. You get to travel more, you build new friendships, you learn new coaches. It's just all the memories you make, it keeps you going, and it makes you want to keep playing.
Now, I'm assuming you're highly involved with CISA. Is that accurate? Talk a little bit
Mm-hmm.
about your CISA experience and what that off season soccer looks like.
So yeah, I played CISA since you could play like rec, and then I actually moved. And so then I kind of missed the age gap where it was like where you jumped into the like traveling. So then I came back. When I moved back, I came back and I tried out, and I played with them on the ECNL team ever since. Yeah, and then but that with high school, you travel all throughout, and then you go into high school.
Awesome. All right, back to you, Coach Stelling. What talk a little bit about your coaching journey. Maybe your first coaching job. The experiences you've accrued over time that have led you to be our girls soccer coach.
Yep. I guess really I first started coaching back in high school a little bit, helping like with kind of like I guess what would be the academy at CISA, or just kind of like the lower kids, the little kids. And so I did a little bit of that, just kind of getting my feet wet. And then once I got my teaching job at Malden, at that time, there also happened to be a JV soccer coaching position for our girls team my first year. And that was under Ellen Bullard. So she was there for 2 years as the varsity head coach. Learned a lot through that experience. I think there was like probably a lot of growth just in like managing a practice. That was probably the first time that I was putting together my first practices and trying that kind of stuff out. And then Raymond Hartman came in after her for I think 5 years. And so at that point, I actually transitioned to be his assistant. And then I did that for 4 years under him. And then his last year, I switched back to being the JV head coach. And I've always done stuff with varsity, regardless of what role I was in. I just tried to be around it as much as I could, just to try to get that experience and try to see, especially I guess in the learning process of being around other coaches, like what that process looks like, knowing that's what I wanted to get to one day. So I've seen that. And then I guess now this is about to be my 3rd year coaching with the Greenville Liberty as well. So just kind of adding that to my coaching resume has helped me to kind of understand some different perspectives and very different levels of soccer. Most of those players are going to be Division II, Division I kids, or our former Division I kids that now have graduated out, or some of them even played professionally and are now no longer playing professionally and just playing semi-pro. Karleigh actually plays for our academy team with the Greenville Liberty. So I do help a little bit with that here and there. So it's kind of, I get like a good blend of like the high school and then like beyond high school.
Awesome. And I'm going to revisit the Greenville Liberty too here in a second. Karleigh, back to you. What, obviously, highly academic, student athlete, within our, entire athletic department. What are your plans so far? This being your junior year, it may seem like it's far off, but what are your plans after high school?
Yeah, I'd say I've always wanted to play college soccer. That's always been my dream since, you were a little kid. It was to play professionally after college and everything. Recently, like me and Stelling have worked a lot through, and with my CISA coaches as well, doing all the recruiting process. So working through finding the right fit of a school, what you want academically, but also athletically, and even just like other things. So we've been working through that to try and figure that out.
What academically, do you have, I guess, nailed down what you want to do when you get out of school?
Yeah, I want to do physical therapy. So I've always kind of wanted to do that track. And then last year, I did something to my knee. And so I was doing physical therapy and talking through like with the therapist and everything kind of made me realize that like it really was what I wanted to do.
Awesome. Soccer wise, so obviously what you want to do. You want to be a physical therapist. What are some of the schools that you've been looking into that, have physical therapy that you feel, are both the fit for your academics, but also from the soccer standpoint?
I think I've done with like I haven't really talked to any specific schools, but I think you have to find like you do all your emailing. So like College of Charleston's one that has a really good program, like Western Carolina, Eastern Carolina. Those are all good schools. Like an Elon, like schools like that were and health science, it would be like a health science background. So they're pretty common major. But those are all schools that are like the location, the distance, and the major and the like right fit, that it's not too far of a reach, but like I'd still be challenging myself and playing.
Awesome. So you've obviously done your homework. You're pretty well versed in what you want. What the school can provide you. That's awesome. That's a pretty mature approach. That's good stuff. Um, Coach Stelling, back to you. Talk a little bit more about with the Greenville Liberty. What is your role? What are you responsible for? When is that season? How do you manage, the teaching part of it, the high school soccer, as well as, your role with the Greenville Liberty?
Yeah. So the Greenville Liberty started up, our first season was 2022, and that was the inaugural year of the USLW League. So we were a big part of that, one of the first teams in that semi-professional league for women. And that's a national league, which has grown immensely even since then. But initially, my first year, I was a video analyst. And so for the most part, that role took place during games. So during the game, I had like a tag panel. So I like created certain things that we were looking for as coaches that we wanted to be able to go back and mark. And at the same time, we had film that was recording. And so it would just kind of like mesh the two of those things together. And so I would just like tag moments, like literally like every second, I'm just kind of like typing, I guess, of what the key moments are in the game, the changes in possession, the shots, certain defensive things that we were looking for. And so those were a lot of things that we looked at just in terms of like bettering the team and trying to manage certain things in our practices. Or if we change the formation in something, that might be something that we have a look at on the film, and then we could use that for a film breakdown to kind of meet with the players and kind of talk through some things that went well or didn't go well from the game. And then starting last year, I was also an assistant coach, spent a lot of time at practices and things like that, helping to run all of that and manage that stuff as well as the game day. So typically at a game, if you go to a Greenville Liberty game, you'll probably see me because I'm the only person on the opposite side of the stands, along with our camera person. And we might have it set up a little bit differently this year, but you could very easily spot me. And so just during the game, I had the laptop. And so we kind of switched to a different program that was a little bit higher tech. And so I was just still tagging moments and things like that for us to go back to for practices and things like that. Our season starts May 1st and runs through mid-July. So obviously we hope to still be in playoffs. We hope to be in playoffs. Haven't started playoffs at that point this year. So I'll kind of get started a little bit later than the other coaches that are on staff. They'll be there pretty much from day one. We've kind of been meeting here and there. Most of what we're doing right now is just like virtual conversations and things like that. Like we have a Zoom meeting tonight. Staff met last week. So it's just kind of on and off things right now and just kind of getting prepared for the season. And then most of the players that we have, like I said earlier, are going to be those current college players, future college players, or post-college players. So it kind of varies kid to kid what that looks like. Some of them will leave like end of June, early July to report to school. So some of those players we won't get a full season out of, just kind of depending on what that looks like for each one. I think the biggest overlap that takes place is with the academy team that Karleigh played with. I didn't travel with them, and I still focus my time with obviously Malden soccer during our season. That comes first. But we do tryouts and things like that in training sessions for the academy team and for our senior team as well. So those are usually in like January, February, a little bit of March. Karleigh and that academy team played during spring break. right at the start of spring break, which was good this year because that didn't really overlap with our season. Didn't have any conflicts, and sometimes those players end up missing a game here or there, but it worked out really well for us this year.
Can you, obviously you've been doing it for, I guess, going into your second year. Have you found that your role being a video analyst with, I would say, some high level players, that video study, that being around those caliber of coaches and players has made an impact on you as a high school coach? Can you maybe talk to that,
for sure.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I think in terms of the video component, I've just gotten a lot more experience. Like I kind of got into that role because I enjoy like working with Huddle or breaking down video, looking at stats. I guess that's the math side of me, just being able to break that down. But I also just want girls to be able to find, I really enjoyed my college experience. So other players that are looking for that as well, I want to help them get there if that's what they're looking for. So I enjoy kind of putting all that together. Like Karleigh and I've met with a few other players on the team, still working with some. And so I think that's kind of helped me to get a better understanding of like what coaches are looking for on the other side of the camera. But also I think just trying to, especially with the group that we have this year, we have a really, really, really elite group of players at Malden and that are looking to play high level soccer. So being able to see like how practices are run, not that our practices previously at Malden were weak or anything like that, but I think the current players that we have right now are just at another level than what I've seen in a few years. And so just trying to meet the needs of what those players need to be successful has kind of opened the door for that.
Awesome. All right, back to you, Karleigh. So at the time we're recording this and at the time we're going to, release it, we're 12-0 overall. We're 4-0 in the region. Viking Cup champions, got my shirt on, fired up about that.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Coach Stelling. What, I guess going back into, preseason, December, January, open season time, collectively as a group, as players, what was your vision of what you guys could accomplish this year?
I think from last season, I think we made it up to upper state in playoffs, and then it was a really unfortunate loss. And I think that really got girls fired up about this season. And so I think we've had girls working extra hard. We've all had the goal of making it to state. And, based off of our record so far, like we are on track for that. I think we had a team bonding preseason, and we all set up goals with like little teams and then the whole team. And we all, we're all got on the same page about how important it was to, we set up our goals of, only getting scored on this many times. And I mean, so far we've kept that to 0. So that's been a pretty big deal. Winning state, region, those were all things. And so I think having that as our like goal has really got the momentum going with our group of girls.
And I think if I'm correct, the only time a soccer ball went into a goal was our goalie slipping in a driving rainstorm and in a PK and a ball trickling in, so you guys are absolutely on track of accomplishing that. Tell us a little bit about, break down some of those individual goals that you guys, in those small groups and in a large setting. Obviously, winning the region, making it to state, but was in not getting scored on X amount of times. Like, what else was talked about, put down on paper that you feel is an important part to your success so far this year?
So we obviously knew those were our final goals, but to get there, you have to have the smaller goals, like you said. We had talked about, how important it was to keep the right mindset and environment. When you play with such a big group of girls, there is, there's competition and, players upset. And so we, everyone plays a role in this team. And so, we talked about the right environment, the right mindset, the work ethic, just like being there. And yet we talked about how important it was to be like one big group of girls, because it's going to be the whole entire team that gets us to state, if we're all there and we're all working hard and we all have the right mindset, the right momentum going, the right attitude about it, like that's what will get us to the next level.
So what does that right environment look like? You've mentioned environment mindset. Break that down. What does that look like in practice? What does it look like in training? What does that look like, during games?
I think it means, you have to show up with, your attitude. You have to show up with, you got to show up with positivity. It might not be your day. Not everyone has a day, but being able to give your 100%, even if it looks different from day to day, you know, being ready to work if it's, even if it's the running stairs that nobody wants to do, like that's what will make it a difference on the field. Your games, you've got to have, you might not be the one getting all 90 minutes, but you have to be the one who keeps everyone going. You can't let any negativity, like you can't let the little things get to you. So like having the, a positive environment, a group of girls who are all there for each other and who all, want to do this. If you have to have that want to all win state together, and that's what will get the right environment to get there.
Outstanding. That's really good stuff. Again, I mentioned it before, really mature, deep answer, and no wonder with that kind of mindset that you and the girls have, there's no question of why we're at the point we are now. That's awesome. Coach Stelling, same question from a coaching staff. Going into this year, what was your, I guess, expectation? What did you think this thing could look like and end up looking like at the end of the year?
Yeah. Like Karleigh said, I think it actually goes back to last year. We really felt like the rug was kind of pulled out from under us. I don't want to go into that too much, but we didn't feel like the loss was supposed to be our loss. You go back and you look at the possession percentage for that, the stats for that game, that was our game. And so, I mean, we said it when we were sitting there last year after that loss, still on the field, like, know what this feels like, remember what this feels like, and use that as your fuel for next year to motivate you to be able to continue on and get further and set higher goals. And so that's kind of what we did. We came out this year guns a-blazing, trying to do everything that we can. Obviously, I think for any team, state is the ultimate goal, but when you feel like it was just out of reach, your fingertips were on it, it means even more. 7 of our seniors have been on varsity all 4 years, and I think this has been a big goal for them, and knowing that how much they've made an impact to the team and kind of the legacy that they're wanting to leave behind. That's an ultimate goal. But I mean, Karleigh literally hit every point that we've talked about. It's got to be a full team effort. Everybody, whether you're injured, whether you're sitting the bench, because we have 24 players on the team, even if you're a manager, like it's going to take everybody to get there. And just remaining positive, focusing on the goal at hand, and kind of coming together as a unit. That's extremely important in order to be successful. And if you win without being a team, then it doesn't mean as much. So, we talk about that frequently, like everybody has their role. It might look differently from time to time. We've got a few injured players right now that can't play. Right now, their time looks different, but they're still just as valuable as they were when they were stepping on the field. So yeah, big goal, obviously state, but I think also just upholding a legacy of Malden soccer and being able to keep that going for years to come.
Good stuff. That's awesome. All right, so we're running out of time a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and skip ahead to something we started, I guess, during our first episode, called the Stampede. Okay, lightning round, just random questions, going to put you on the spot, kind of to get some insight into some of the things you guys are interested in, and just to give a little bit more background of who you are and what you think. Karleigh, first thing, what is your favorite binge-worthy TV show?
Over the summer, I binge watched Outer Banks multiple times, and all 3 seasons.
Outer Banks, that's like from my era. That's a long time ago.
No,
Coach
this was like a teenager one.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a new one. This is different. What am I thinking of then? It's not Outer Banks. It's
This was about they found like gold.
It's like a treasure hunt show, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then this is totally different then. What am I thinking of? Not Outer Banks. There was something in my era that was maybe Dawson's Creek or something, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Coach Stelling, what do you got? Favorite binge-worthy TV show?
My favorite TV show of all time is Law and Order SVU. I don't know. I've liked it since high school. I wait for that every Thursday to watch it. I'm waiting up for it.
Awesome. Good stuff. All right, Karleigh, the most influential person in your life. Who is it and why?
I'd say probably my parents. I think my parents have both, the whole recruiting process is not an easy process, and they've both been there to not let me give up, but they've also both been there, since I've started playing soccer, pushing me to keep going. When we moved, they were there to help me, find the right team for me, find the, moving new schools. Like, they were just always there to make sure everything was the right fit for me.
Awesome. Coach Stelling, most influential person in your life and why?
Only can pick one. I think I'm gonna have to pick Tobin Heath, because she was my first soccer player that I was like, oh, I love watching her play, love her style of play. Obviously loved her enough that I named my dog after her. But yeah, just super technical, and I think just the way she led herself during her time with the women's national team, type of person that, I look up to.
Awesome. Karleigh, I don't know if you're a reader or not. Okay. I love reading when I have the time. But is there something that you're currently reading or a book that you have read, that somehow has helped you? You just think it's a fun, enjoyable book? I don't know. Are you a reader? I don't know. Can you answer that question?
I'm really not a big reader.
Okay.
I've read books over the summer. I read one over the summer. I cannot think of the name of it, but it was kind of like, so when I moved to France. So it was a big move, and it was about this girl who moved to a completely kind of the same situation, moving, finding a new place. So that was kind of not influential, but it was kind of like an insight of someone else's perspective on a similar situation.
Good. Coach Stelling.
Don't read a whole lot, but you probably know my obsession with Chick-fil-A.
Yes, I do.
And my neighbors got me a book by Truett Cathy. I can't remember the name of it, but it was about inspiring other people, and I guess how Chick-fil-A was created. That's the most recent book I've read. Other than that, the only thing I read is The Practice of Statistics, which is the textbook for my class. That's the most I'm reading as a math teacher.
Mr. Peak would like to hear that, so that's good. I was expecting one of you guys to say anything by Ants and Dorrance, the competitive cauldron, something, but I guess I was way off.
Yeah. I mean, I do love a good, I don't know, coaching, building leaders type book, but that's a good, like Karleigh said, that's a summer activity for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. There's not much time from August to May. And then the times where you think you can sit down and read and relax. That really never happens. So, all right, last one. Karleigh, you can have dinner with any person in history. Who is it and why?
In history?
In history.
Good question. If we stick to soccer players, I would say probably Carly Lloyd. She was a player younger that I looked up to. When I was little, I always thought it was so cool. We have the same first and middle name. And so, growing up, especially when I was younger, she was, a superstar. She still is. And just to kind of sit through and hear her perspective on everything would be, I think, mind-changing.
Awesome. Coach Stelling, we have 2 minutes on the clock before we run out of time. Who is your person in history and why?
Yeah, if we're sticking with soccer players, probably Christine Lilly. She actually made a video for us a few years ago, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I think she's just has a lot of experience in the game, and not only just like in playing, but like, I don't know, just like in life. Like she has a lot of good life lessons that's like you just would want to hear what she has to say. Like you would just want to be all open ears.
Awesome. Well, ladies, I appreciate you taking the time to, again, sit down, talk with us about, your background, the soccer season. I thought this was really, really good episode. I'm fired up to produce it. And again, I can't thank you enough for joining us.
Of course. Enjoyed it.
Outstanding.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Mab Chatter. And a special thank you to Coach Stelling and Karleigh for taking the time to chat with us. Our goal is to post content with student athletes, coaches, faculty, staff, and administration twice a month, so please subscribe. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe to the Ranch newsletter by visiting maldenathletics.com. You will receive an email each Sunday night or Monday morning updating you with game results, schedules, ticket information, and the other great things going on inside Mavland. Again, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And as always, go Mavs.